Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing another acrylic paint marker illustration because I've really been enjoying playing with acrylic paint markers. And guess what, you guys? I started this sketchbook last year and I only have marker illustrations in it. Any videos that I've made that correspond with illustrations here, I'll just link down below if you guys are interested. But I just so happened to open up this new sketchbook, do some marker illustrations, and then when I flip through, I'm like, I really kind of like that idea of only having marker illustrations and a few sketches in here. So I'm trying to limit myself to only marker illustrations. So when my son's at ABA therapy, we have to drive into the city to go pick him up, and I'm the passenger, and what I've been doing is doodling. Some doodles aren't finished, but I've just been collecting an array of doodles, and then when I'm in the mood to color, I already have something there, so I'm kind of making my own coloring pages as I go. And today we are going to be doing this handsome whale in my video. So obviously this is an imagination piece because why would a whale need to have winter gear and why would it be snowing underwater? So anyways, here are the gorgeous markers my husband got me, and we're going to be playing with them here today. I have played with and reviewed a lot of acrylic paint markers, so of course there's going to be a lot of repetition across my marker videos, but I'm just laying down the first layer, and almost every single company that you will try, it will streak, okay? That first layer is really ugly and streaky, but every single medium you use in the art world has an ugly phase. So I'm warning you guys that first or even second layer, depending on the markers you use, will have that ugly streakiness. But the power in this medium is patience and layers. You want to let each layer dry before you go over top so that you don't distress your paper. I've gotten into the habit of going in the opposite direction as I go to have a more even coverage, and that's just a personal preference. So if you guys haven't tried that, I recommend you try it. Now, some paint markers, you will have to do as much as 3, 4, and some colors even 5 layers. Now, these markers aren't so bad. I'd have to say most colors on average, you're going to be looking at doing about 3 layers. Now, if you guys don't like that and don't want to do that, then maybe these kind of markers are not for you. But this streakiness is normal. And I found a little hack is going in the opposite direction, and that's just a personal preference. And look guys, just between layer 1 and layer 2, there's a stark contrast and quite a difference here already. Doing any form of art will definitely test your patience and your perfectionism, but I promise if you're patient and you wait it out, it's totally worth it in the end. So as I was filling in this background, which is a quite large space by the way, this is an 8 by 8 inch sketchbook, I noticed that this particular marker was dry. So FYI, no matter what brand I use, I've noticed that paler colors and pastel colors tend to be dry, but this one was a little drier than normal and I got increasingly nervous as this went on, but I will explain as I go. Now look, I've said this before and I'll say it again, it is normal that the page curls up. It's unavoidable. So just be patient and layer up like I'm doing. Look at the big difference between layer 1, layer 2, and you're noticing this between the whale body and then the one layer on the sweater. It's streaky, but it will even out. So I really like that these markers cover my little sketches. But like I said, I work very fragmentedly. Baby, his nap is over and I just have to work on it another day. But I'm choosing to look at the glass half full and be thankful that this way I get to close my sketchbook and flatten out my pages and they don't curl up as much. You've got to be positive because you know what? A little bit of art is better than no art. So here we are with a little bit of problems. This marker here, remember I said it was a little dry? While I was noticing it was dry and it was starting to fray. And I'm like, no, Mr. has clogged up. What am I going to do? So I decided I'm just going to see if the nib is clogged up. I didn't do anything particular. I'm not having any problems with any of the other markers. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to soak it in water. Maybe the nib is clogged up. So I've taken to doing this, sometimes leaving it in water for about 10 minutes. Sometimes that's all you need to unclog a marker. But when I got back to coloring, I was realizing that helped a little bit. There is flow. But my issue isn't clogging. My issue is there's barely any ink. So I was really sad because doing this illustration totally dried out this marker. But that's the nature of these markers. The ink flows out quickly, so obviously it's going to dry out quickly, right? So shifting gears, I put the little eyeball and it's starting to really come to life because when you don't put the eyes, it scares everybody looking at your sketch. Isn't that right, my firstborn, who I know is watching and I'm calling you out? So after many layers, this little piece is finally coming together. And if you guys have not done marker illustrations, I highly recommend you do it. Keep track of what you are using, of course, in case you really like what you're doing and you want to come back. That's something I personally do. I like to know all the colors I used for the piece, and then I like to reference it back. So here's referencing back to my dried out marker. Initially, I wasn't sure if it was dried out, but once I let it sit and I saw that the barrel was empty, I was sad. So I figured, you know what, that's 2 markers in this set. I'm not going to even bother to put it back in. We're just going to call it done and put it with the dead markers. Unfortunately, we cannot refill these. But you know what? I'm very happy with this piece. It's really fun how it came together. I know it can't snow in the ocean, but that's what makes this so fun. I really like the idea of flipping through my sketchbook and seeing an illustration that looks like it belongs in a kid's book or something. So obviously my pages are curling up. I've talked about this. I'm not going to go back into it. It's really annoying. But I did notice that if you color on watercolor paper, especially a watercolor block, you don't get this curling as much. I will link my previous videos up at the top and down below that I have done my marker illustrations on watercolor paper. So over here, I put all the names and I did a little legend, like I said, to reference back, and I put a little X there because that's my dead marker. And then I put everything here, and believe it or not, I didn't leave it white. I actually used a pale peach for the little snowfall under the water, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. These marker illustrations are so bright and cheerful. I honestly feel that they have been healing my inner child, so yay for that. I also highly recommend taking fine liners and outlining your marker illustrations. I've started doing that recently, and me loves. So I'm really sad that my set already has 2 little gaping holes, but you know what? It's even more sad to have art supplies and not use them. I had a defective one and then I've already emptied one. So here we are. I'm about to close up my sketchbook and I just want to show you guys, if you're not mindful about those corners, you could totally damage the illustration that you've worked on. But again, to kindly remind you guys and not sound like a nag, if you just keep your sketchbook closed or you put some other heavy books on top, your marker illustrations will flatten out, just like these ones and the previous ones that I showed you guys earlier. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, come say hi in the comments below. I really enjoy talking to you guys, and if you like my marker videos, look at the description. I have so many other marker reviews that I have done before. See you guys. Bye.